Hey, listen up. We got another episode of Wise Kracks, featuring the crack man himself, Bill Krackomberger, and our co-host, John Orlando, straight from Las Vegas. Wise Kracks is your ticket inside the world of sports betting, with tips, picks, special guests, and more. Only on WSN.com.
Hey everybody, John Orlando here. Welcome back to another week of Wise Kracks, and I've got Mr. Bill Krackomberger via remote from some crazy place. Where are you this week? I can't keep up with you, Bill.
I'm in the land of Anacott Steel. If anyone knows what that is.
I just watched that movie literally 2 nights ago. Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel.
Anacott Steel was in when Larry Wildman, Sir Lawrence Wildman lands in Erie, Pennsylvania for Anacott Steel. That's where I am.
Wow.
So
I've been to Erie.
Before we went on air, we're just talking about lines from movies, and you said it and just spontaneously I thought that. So
I love it. Yeah, I'm like you. I can watch the same 3 or 4 movies. We have different movies that we watch continuously, I think. For me, it's Rounders. I literally watch Rounders 3 or 4 times a week, to the point where the pint-sized warrior comes downstairs and she's like, "You got to be kidding me. What are you doing? Stop it."
I watch Rounders is in my list, by the way.
Really?
I've watched it 25 times. So well, go ahead. Give me some of your other ones. This is good talk here.
So Rounders, Departed, I can watch Departed over and over. Casino, I can watch over and over. Goodfellas, all the gangster movies I can watch over and over.
Wow, you're in my Casino and Goodfellas. I can watch over and over.
And over. I love, especially Goodfellas, just because I love hearing Ray Liotta say Karen.
Right.
The way he
right.
says
I just can't, Karen. I just can't.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
My list consists of Casablanca. I'm a little bit more older, some older movies, and The Godfather. Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I can watch them over and over, at least 3-4 times a year. I'm going to put another movie in there, a more later movie that I absolutely loved, The Green Book. I've been watching that.
So good.
I've been watching The Green Book over and over. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. Especially that I actually knew Tony Lip.
Yeah, so did my dad.
Oh, your dad knew him too. Wow.
Yeah.
So I got to meet him and talk to him and never knew this story about his life, though. I just knew him from being on The Sopranos. He was in Goodfellas, but he played Carmine Lubertazzi in The Sopranos, which was the boss of New York, Johnny Sack's boss, before he died off on the show and died in real life. So to see his real life story come to the big screen, even if I didn't know him, it would still be in one of my top movies. I absolutely love it. So your dad actually knew him, and how did your dad know him? How did he meet him?
So my dad's uncle Carmine was the maitre d' at the Copa.
Oh wow!
Back in the day, and so he used to sneak my dad in when my dad was like 15 and 16 years old.
Wow! I don't even know. Did your dad? And for anyone who doesn't know, John's dad is Tony Orlando. So did your dad start in clubs like the Copa?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He was one of the last people to work the Copa. I don't know if he was the last, but he was certainly, one of the, he was definitely doing like the we're going away party type of stuff.
Cool stuff. Our guest that we have, I have him live here. We're at a hotel in Erie, Pennsylvania. He actually seen your dad a couple times. He's a fan.
Really?
I'm here for his birthday. My friend Don Elbaum, legendary boxing promoter, matchmaker. He introduced Don King to boxing. We're going to have him on here live. And I'm here for his birthday. Of course, he never tells anyone his age, but he did say something at dinner last night. He's closer to 100 than 50. So I like that.
Which is crazy. And I know the age. I won't say it, but I got a glimpse of him before we started rolling today. And I can't believe he's the age of the number that it is. Yeah.
He's sharp as can be. Sharp as a tack, I'll tell you.
He should be telling everyone how old he is, because when you look like that, I mean, come on. I feel like there's an endorsement deal there for him, for someone, right?
He's looking for an endorsement deal, that's for sure.
I'm going to get on it. I'm on it. Okay?
All right. So so we have that. We have him here, and I'm here for that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to drive across the country. Now, I was in Atlantic City, so I drove from Atlantic City to here. you drive across all these places. Philadelphia, I stopped at a really cool bakery there, which makes homemade pizzas. I didn't put that video up on Twitter yet, but I will this weekend. And then I also I stopped in a couple other little country spots along the way. Beautiful country winding roads to get here. Some great people, hardworking, blue-collar towns, Americana to me, driving across from Atlantic City to Erie. And, if you kept on driving, I think it was on 80 West before I cut up to 79 North, there's such great, like Pittsburgh. I think of the hardworking towns of not only where let's see, my friend Pat is from a town over there, really blue-collar, Youngstown. Matter of fact, it's an old mafia town. A lot of old mob guys there that were there in Youngstown. And then, of course, you have Steubenville, where Dean Martin was from, and they had a lot of the first casinos in the United States. People don't know this. Were in Steubenville. A lot of the guys that are in Atlantic City and some of the ones that went to Vegas, they started out in Steubenville. So it's kind of, there was casinos there. It was after-hour joints. So
wow.
Pretty cool. Americana, man.
Yeah, I love it. Speaking of things I love, let's talk about the UFC real quick from last weekend. I got it all wrong. All my picks. I think I got one right. I'll start with the main event. Israel Adesanya did beat Marvin Vettori for the second time pretty easily. I mean, he kind of schooled him. And we have the first Mexican-born UFC champion, Brandon Moreno. Beat Davison Figueiredo. And most importantly, the one that's getting all the headlines is Nate Diaz. Didn't win the fight, but I don't know if you saw the fight, Crack, but in the last 2 minutes of that fight, he looked like he might actually knock out Edwards. He put it to him. He just didn't have enough time to finish him.
So he won that last round?
100%. Yeah. I mean, he almost knocked him out. He stunned him a couple times. Nate spent a lot of that fight just messing around, like turning his back.
I did see the odds on him. I didn't watch the fight, but I seen there was actually in Vegas, he was plus 430.
Yeah.
Someone asked me at fight time, hey, what's the best odds you see on Nate Diaz? So
during the fight, at one point, he was plus 850. In the third or fourth round, and he really did come close to knocking him out, Crack. Like, he really had him rocked. He just couldn't get it done. But
that's why. How do you bet these big favorites laying, 6-7 to 1? God,
yeah,
you're saying all it takes is one knee or one punch or one, just a headbutt or whatever it may be. It can end it.
Yeah.
And but it wound up being a good fight then. A lot of
it was exciting
in that last round.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. It reminded everyone of why people love Nate Diaz. You can't ever count him out, and he's fun to watch. He never gives up.
Cool.
This weekend, U.S. Open from Torrey Pines in San Diego, and there seems to be a lot of action on the old man again. What's going on? Can he do it again?
No.
No?
I mean, these sports books shouldn't even have these odds. They had about like 40 to 1. Come on. This was a once in a lifetime thing when Phil Mickelson, won this last major, and it was like 300 to 1, 325 to 1. And it was an unbelievable thing. 50-year-old guy wins a major like this. And it was a really, even the last day he was underdog. He wasn't the favorite the last day. So day 4 when he was ahead a couple strokes. So to see him win that was, I guess, it was fantastic for golf. And everyone loves Phil Mickelson. As you could see, that golf course, and people went crazy. But now you're asking him to. I think the next tournament he didn't even make the cut. I mean, now you're asking him to win another major. It's next to impossible.
No chance. You give him no chance.
No.
Come on, Crack. Not even a.
No. I give him, even though that's his home course and stuff. Torrey Pines, San Diego, beautiful out there. I've been there a couple times. It's absolutely a beautiful course. The inn there is fantastic. I've stayed there. The lodge. Oh, what a great place. Beautiful part of the country. The place will be packed.
Okay, but wait a minute here. You're the king of saying any given Sunday. What happened to that? No?
Yeah, that's NFL.
It doesn't apply to golf? All right.
You know what? I guess it does apply to golf because this guy proved that anyone could. If you have 300 to 1 shot can win a golf tournament, especially a major, then I guess anything can happen. So I just think that the sports book should be offering more. I've seen 60 to 1 was like the highest I've seen. I think that it's just a price gouge. You understand these futures anyway are bad prices to begin with. It's a 30, 40, 50% hold. So now, people are betting just off the name of Phil Mickelson winning that last one. It's just it's really just a cash grab for the sports books.
All right.
Yeah, I would love to be embarrassed and be able to say, I actually hope he does win now. This way I can say, look at this. But
right. Is there anyone that does stick out at you?
I got to tell you, I'm looking at these golfers. I'm looking at these odds, and they're so low. I'm going to go on real quick and look at Circa's lines. Circa Las Vegas, which actually is the lowest hold in the industry for golf. They only hold about 20%. I think actually it's 19%. They held 10% on the Masters. I think it's only 19% odds to win. So here we go. If you could see some of these odds to win, 11-1. First of all, no one should be 11-1 on a major, and no one should be 11-1 in a golf tournament. I mean, you could just see going up and down this list, the top 10 guys are 20-1 or less. I would never bet a 20-1 or less shot to win a major golf tournament. It's just not. This is not back when Tiger Woods was winning every tournament. It's so wide open. Look at these names here in the top 10: Rahm, DeChambeau, Koepka, Johnson, McIlroy, Spieth, Thomas, Schauffele, Morikawa, Cantlay, Hovland, Finau, Reed, Matsuyama. These are the top guys that are 30-1 or less. I mean, any one of them can win, but the odds are just so low. A buddy of mine just called me about Morikawa. He liked Morikawa, but I told him the best odds I see is 26-1. He said that's too low. So it's interesting, but it's fun to watch. I love watching golf. Golf and baseball, my favorite two sports to watch. I know most people get bored with that. I guess the NFL now. Now that I'm doing the podcast and now that I'm out there on a lot of radio shows talking weekly on the NFL, I do watch the NFL games on the weekends with my buddies, but I still don't have that red zone plan. I don't even have that at my house. I'm going to be spending a lot of time probably on the East Coast because this football season, because we do not have, unfortunately, in Las Vegas, we don't have representation by these big sports books like the DraftKings, the FanDuels. We don't have these big books out there, and there's a lot more ways. There's just so much variety of bets, and I think more advantages for me as a prop bettor betting in a jurisdiction that has these sports books. And
why don't we have them?
Las Vegas
political,
is
obviously, right? Is that the
little good old boys club stuff going on there in Vegas? And you know what, though, being serious, they don't want another Cantor Gaming. When Cantor Gaming, which is a branch of Cantor Fitzgerald in New York, opened up in Las Vegas, I don't know. I guess they were vetted well, but they were looked at, and they probably just don't want that happening again. Some of the largest fines in gaming history, I think the largest fine was levied against Cantor Gaming. I think it was a $26 million one-shot fine. Then they got fined another, I think altogether it was close to upwards of $40 million they were fined.
Wow.
For breaking gaming laws. And of course there was the big arrest they had. And so the kind of scandal there. And
they were at the Hard Rock, right? Cantor was at the Hard Rock. They ran the Hard Rock.
Cantor was at the Hard Rock. It started at the M. The M was the mothership, the home court, and then it went across all over town. As a matter of fact, it was at the Cosmo. It was at the Venetian, the Hard Rock. They had some big representation in Vegas, and now I'm going to give you a line from Goodfellas. They're gone, and there's nothing anybody could do. They're just gone. Yeah.
I love it. NBA playoffs, a sport that normally I wouldn't even care to talk about, but now I can't wait to bring it up because I made a bold prediction a couple weeks ago about the Phoenix Suns. If they beat the Lakers, the momentum carries them. They swept the Nuggets. And now I think they might be in bad shape, right? Because they've lost Chris Paul potentially to COVID. Is this?
Yeah, but sometimes players step up. It's amazing. We were talking before the show. I think 9 All-Stars this playoffs have not are still not in or have been hurt or injuries or maybe even like the COVID protocols that's happening. It's really unprecedented time. And look at Kawhi Leonard not playing now. The line moved 7 from -2 to -7. I don't know if any NBA player is worth 5.5 points. That, think about this. The backup for someone like this, now the backup player who's going to step into his shoes is probably good enough to start on any NBA team.
Right.
So, and then now there's a lot of incentives for that backup or maybe not even backup, maybe plural backups to step into the game and maybe prove to themselves, prove to their coaches, or make up for someone like. But I mean, the guy's one of the best players in the game. Not that you're going to make up for him, but it's time to step up now, boys. And that happens a lot. 5 points. I don't know. I don't really bet a lot of NBA sides. One of the hardest sports to beat is NBA, just like NFL. The sides, totals are beatable, props are beatable, but NBA sides are real tough to beat. So I don't know if anyone's worth, like I said, that many points. So we'll see what happens. So yeah. So and the same thing with your team there. John, you gave out good odds. I think it was like 8.5 to 1 or something like that. And then it went to 4 to 1. I don't know what the current odds are now with the injury, the COVID outage. So I don't know what they are now, but I don't think they actually, because it just came out, I don't think there's a lineup yet. But I still think you definitely have an edge on that bet.
Well, here's the problem, though, Bill. Here's why I know they're going to win it all, because I didn't actually make the bet. I just said I would.
One of those mind bets.
Yep, and I didn't do it, which guarantees victory for them. So if you're listening to this, bet the house. No, don't bet the house. But I feel like now they're going to win, because I could see myself saying, "Oh my God, I said it on the show. I'm an idiot."
The Nets are still a small favorite to win it all too. So
even without but they've lost Kyrie Irving, right?
Yeah, I know. Just I seen someone texted me last night and said he was running down to stations because they had the best odds on this still. So they have some questions themselves, but it's still wide open. I mean, it's just like plus 120 or something. It's still pretty much wide open. I
can't remember. Do you have anyone? Did you make any future bet or anyone to win the series, to win it all?
John, not only that, I haven't watched an NBA game.
I love that about you, Crack. Me too.
Yeah, I'm not supporting the NBA. I'm not an NBA fan.
But I'll tell you what you are a fan of. You're a big fan of baseball and golf, and you've been lighting it on fire this season with the Crack Wins app. So I want to remind everybody to download the Crack Wins app on Apple or Google, or just go to crackwins.com and get all of Crack's wisdom. How have you been doing? You've been doing good with baseball, right?
Yeah, baseball, holding our own in baseball, and of course the golf matchups. Definitely holding our own. We have a bunch of them this week. I usually don't have so many for a major, but we got about 4. I think we have like 4 of them this week that we released, and really don't do too many futures on that. But we're holding our own this year. I think I have some of the best golf information in the world, and also baseball. We've done well with baseball, and we're getting back into. Here we go. Look where we are here. We're almost at the end of June. That means we're like 6-7 weeks away from preseason NFL.
Yeah.
I love that time of the year. Love preseason. Love NFL when it comes in there for props and stuff. So
College World Series also coming up here in a week or so, right? Right now.
You bring up a great point. We've been doing college baseball has been also holding its own until we get it moves so much though. Wow. If I give out like over 10 runs, it'll close over 11 or 11. I mean, it's just 11 and a half. It's crazy how the movement, because it's a smaller market sport. Not a lot of the sports books booking the college baseball.
I know you had once said about college football that you try to stay away from like the big marquee games, the matchups like SC versus UCLA. You try to pick like more of the obscure schools. Is it the same for baseball?
Well, you know what? No, listen, college baseball is the whole entire. Every single game is obscure because it's not a watched sport. It's not really a big watch. There's not an eye on it. So
true.
The sports books just don't have a grasp even on the big name teams. So no, they're all open season on all of them.
All right, very good. And then, of course, after you download the Crack Wins app, you should head on over to WSN.com for all of the latest sign-up bonuses. There's some great promos on there for FanDuel and DraftKings. Have you seen those? Like, I think $500 promos?
I'm actually on there right now. Not only the bonuses are unbelievable, but even before we got on air, didn't I tell you? I said, I can't believe the articles they have here. I like following the in-depth states. I want to know where we are as a country. We have like 30 states that have the legalization of gambling, sports betting has passed in their states. So now I noticed also they're talking about the Bible Belt area, the North Carolina, South Carolina. There's articles on North Carolina, Florida also. It's a really a complicated situation down there in Florida. The Indian tribes control those state gaming, and the Hard Rock leading the nation, number 1 and number 2 casinos in the United States. Imagine that. Not Las Vegas, not the Borgata in Atlantic City, not the somewhere in Las Vegas. The number 1 moneymakers are the Hard Rock in Tampa and the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida.
That's so hard to believe.
It's hard to believe, but it's not hard to believe. Think about the population down there. They have the extra money to spend. The retirees, coming from up north, going to Florida, spending all their money gambling. When something happens, the grandkids, the kids say, "What happened to mom and dad's money?" And grandpa liked to gamble, and these Indian casinos are the benefactors of that. Unfortunately, by the way, I'm against that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Florida is there's an article on Florida, article on North Carolina. I'm reading it myself. Wyoming, Illinois, Nebraska. These are all independent articles. Maine. Some of these hardcore areas, which you would never think you'd have sports betting. There's articles on, but of course the bonuses is the reason I love going to WSN. Check them out. They change all the time, and some really good promotions and bonuses at WSN.com. And I'll tell you why. I think they're some of the best in the state. I mean, I look at this like here, Bet365 there, $500. I mean, there's just so many bonuses that are offered at WSN that's not offered at other places. And I almost didn't get that. They must really negotiate some unbelievable bonuses for WSN that is not on other sites. So
yeah,
make sure you check it out.
Okay, and they I saw I was on there the other yesterday, and they have the NFL futures listed on there. Did you check any of those out?
I did, but I really haven't released nothing yet. I haven't really bet nothing yet. There's certain sportsbook like in New Jersey at FanDuel. I seen the odds, which has dropped down to 16-1. But who will have the best record in the NFL? And the Cleveland Browns actually have a decent schedule for them to have the best record at 16-1. So I think it's pretty good odds. It's a difficult bet. The best record, you always think of the marquee teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, now of course the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You think of these marquee teams, and they probably will win it, but that's the reason why I'm getting 16-1 and hoping a team like the Browns will step up. I'm only an hour and a half away from there. Maybe that's a good sign.
I'm gonna tell you who the NFC Champion is gonna be. I'm gonna tell you right now. What's today's date? We're June 16th?
16th.
June 16th. Let that be the day that I gave the winner of the NFC for this upcoming season. It's the Dallas Cowboys, Crack. 100%.
Oh, God.
No. No. Come on. Dak Prescott. Listen, you've been around long enough to know the Cinderella story is what always comes true, right? He breaks his ankle, he comes back, he signs the big contract, and he will lead them to the promised land. Book it.
I got to say, John, I got to tell you, I might be rooting for that just for him.
Okay, I'll take it.
But didn't he get a big contract off? I think he got a ridiculous contract.
I think he's the second highest paid player besides Mahomes, I think.
I think I read like 47 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
so
off of an injury, off of a broken ankle. They don't even know if he can pivot.
I don't feel as bad for him as I did back then. I tell you, when he got carried off on a stretcher.
Oh, man, that was gut-wrenching.
Human being would have had a tear in their eye for this guy. Yeah. Getting carried off, waving up to the sky. It was just, oh, God, it was just so.
Especially since he hadn't negotiated the new contract. Football is such a volatile sport because of injury like that. And I think everyone, as he was on that stretcher, probably including him, was like, oh, my God, he's never going to get that payday. Right?
Yeah.
But you got to give credit to the Cowboys, even though I always bash the front office for the moves they make. It's pretty cool that they backed him like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm all in on my Cowboys, 13-1.
All right.
No?
All right, I'm rooting for you.
All right, and what about the AFC? Am I crazy that I want to bet the Chiefs because I'm just Mahomes all the way?
Yeah, I mean,
no value
rebound after last year. They probably even though they made it to the Super Bowl, they probably want to rebound after that disappointing performance in the Super Bowl. You remember the year before, it really wasn't a overwhelming performance until the fourth quarter for Mahomes. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. It should be fun.
And do you have
Talking NFL?
I know, I love it. I love it.
Great sports betting. You can do this stuff in June.
Yeah. Did you happen to catch yesterday? Derek Carr from the Raiders was saying if he ever got traded, he would probably just retire. He's a Raider for life. Did you hear him say that?
I didn't see that. Well, I know he bought a beautiful house in Las Vegas, right by Coach Gruden. I know that. And
Raiders
I did not see that.
Raiders are 33-1 to win the AFC. Any shot?
None. I'm sorry. My friend Teddy Alice might get mad at me. His son is the scouting coordinator. Oh boy. But
well, Crack, you've got an incredible guest, surprise guest this week. You wanna bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on. I'm actually going to read. I went to the Boxing Hall of Fame when he was inducted in the. I almost said indicted. Were you indicted? No, inducted. When you were inducted in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to read to you what they have on their website, which is just fantastic as an introduction to Don. So Don Elbaum, he grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania after seeing Willie Pep box, and he was inspired to box and racked up 40 wins in his own 50 career fights, amateur career. And then really a life in boxing followed. He started matchmaking at 15 years old, and 3 years later promoted his first bout. He also engaged in 10 pro bouts himself. He was 6-3-1, often stepping in for no-show fighters on the card he promoted.
Wow.
I mean, just think about that. Armed with an eye for talent in over 6 decades. Over 6 decades in the boxing world that he served as a matchmaker and promoter for over 10,000 fights and promoted over 100 cards. I mean, this is amazing, including 196 over a 5-year period at the Trop in Atlantic City. It's funny. I actually have been to some of those fights. They were Tuesday night at the Trop. I didn't know Don back then, but he was the guy. He was living in the hotel there, and he was the guy that was, responsible for those fights. So, listen, among the fighters he has advised, matched, or promoted include the great Ernie Shavers, Simon Brown, Tony Tubbs, Maurice Blocker, David Telesco. Hall of Famers. How about these guys that he's been involved with? Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson, Willie Pep, Aaron Pryor, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, just think of these guys that I just said, the who's who of the boxing world. But Don's like a master of hype, and he's a very colorful character in the business, and his the skills he has to promote some of these fights that he's done. Like I said, stepping in for some guys that didn't show up. I'm going to let him explain a little bit about that. How about this? He's promoted some things that you might consider crazy, like the world's worst boxer, where the loser has to retire. The loser has to retire. How about selling advertisement? He was the first one to sell an ad on the soles of the boxer's shoes. So
I love it.
The boxer gets knocked down, they're going to show his.
That's genius. That's actually genius.
Yeah, no, he is. The great Don Elbaum, and I have him right here with me. I'm going to put this back a little bit. Don, yeah, here's my man. Don's got that Kaiser Soze look to him today.
Yeah, he does.
I like that. Yeah. But no, Don has been around, and Don, the only thing I ask you to do is Don's a low talker, and he's got that graspy voice. I mean, just look at that mug. There's that great tough guy mug, and it's amazing how sharp he is. Though went to dinner with him last night again. I haven't seen him in about a year. He has not lost one step. So thanks for coming to the show, Don.
Listen, to be with you is like wow.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So Don. Why don't you tell? How did you even get? It's funny. It's a great question I have. How did you even get into boxing? How did it happen?
Well, it started. My mother was a concert pianist. All right. I was born in Cincinnati. She played with the Erie Philharmonic, the Cincinnati Philharmonic. We moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, when I was 5 years old, and I sat down and I started playing the piano because my mother played 2-3 hours a day. And she played with the Erie Philharmonic. And the interesting thing, which few people know, at the age of 6, I played a duet with my mother with the Erie Philharmonic.
Wow.
And I was considered a child prodigy. My mother grew up in New Bedford and Fall River, Mass. And every summer we went there when I was out of school. And my uncle, I've got on my list the 3 greatest people that I know. And by the way, they're my father, the Sugar Ray Robinson, my uncle Danny Greenstein. My uncle took me to a fight. I was 6 years old, 6 or 7, and we're sitting in the front row in New Bedford. And I see this fighter, and oh my God, he's in the corner. The opponent's throwing punch after punch, never hit him. The opponent slips out of the corner, puts that fighter in the corner, puts together like a 10-punch combination. The guy starts pulling the canvas. The guy holds back, all right, and lets him blast. I turned to my uncle, and these are my exact words. I said, "This is the most beautiful music I have ever seen. This is what I want to do." And that changed my life. And the fighter was Willie Pep.
Oh, wow. The great Willie Pep.
And
Wow.
Willie and I became friends, and he loved the story. And I've been lucky. I've been in this game. I'm the youngest promoter, matchmaker. I matchmaked my first fight when I was 16 years old in Cleveland Arena. I promoted my first fight when I was in 11th grade in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I've been doing this all over the world. And boy, the ups have been way, way more than the downs.
Yeah, that's amazing, Don. You said you've been all over the country. I actually read some of the places you've been. You've been in, I say country, you've been all over the world.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, you called me up. Oh, wow, this is a spontaneous story. How do I even remember this? Calls me up and says, "Bill, I'm headed to Russia." This is about 3 years ago. I'm headed to Russia. And he said, "Let me give you these contact people because I might not be coming back." I said, "Well, what do you mean you're not?" He goes, "This is a Russian mob guy. It's just the guy that I used to deal with. And I'm hoping he's not mad at me, but he sent for me. And when we get sent for in this business, just like in the mob business, you go." So he went. So Don is here. He made it out of Russia. But I just thought you'd find that pretty funny, John. Any questions for Don, John?
Yeah, man, that's an incredible story. Just that alone. I have a question for you, Don. You probably have had multiple people ask you this, I would imagine, over the years. But in his prime, I believe Mike Tyson could have beat Muhammad Ali in his prime. Am I crazy, Don?
No, you're not crazy because, I could see Ali being maybe 8-5, 9-5, tops 2-1. Let's go to what I think. Boxing should be 15 rounds, all right? And by the way, you may find this a story no one knows. The reason 12-round title fights today, years back, I got a phone call. There were Friday night fights from Madison Square Garden, and I got a call from Gil Clancy, who was the commentator for the fights at MSG on CBS. He says, "Don, we've got a problem." He said, "We've got these 15-round title fights. And what happens is that go the distance, they go past 11 o'clock, and they're killing sponsorship for the next hours. And we have to knock it down to 12 rounds." I said, "You can't." I said, "Gil, you can't. Boxing title fights are 15. Anyway, because of the time and because CBS would knock off boxing if they didn't knock it down, and that's where 12-round title fights started. And by the way, the WBA and the WC, they took credit stating for health reasons. Absolutely nothing to do with health. It was put down or cut down to 12 rounds simply because if they weren't, they were being taken off and no more fights in CBS.
Oh, wow. That's unbelievable. I didn't know that myself, Don.
That's the reason 12
It was about money then.
Huh?
It's about money.
Yeah.
It's about money in the end.
TV money. But staying with the 15-round fights, Ali to me would be Tyson in a 15-round fight. All right? And let me go into something else. Staying with 15-round fights, who would beat Ali? Joe Louis in a 15-rounder? Absolutely. And boy, you may or may not love this. In a 15-round fight, Rocky Marciano knocks out Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
Really?
10 round.
Wow.
In a 10-round fight, absolutely not. But no one, Rocky will hit you in the ribs, on the arms. And I've talked to fighters that fought Rocky. They couldn't hold their arms up after 7 or 8 rounds.
Did you ever meet Rocky?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. I had a great relationship.
Oh, you did?
I mean, and great story about Rocky. Rocky was one of the cheapest guys that.
That was his. He was known as being a cheap person.
And whenever he went out of town, and by the way, I can't tell you, let's say 100 times. It's probably more than this. When Rocky arrived, he was a guest speaker or whatever out of town. He would be on the plane. They pick him up, and they said, "Rocky, where's your luggage?" He said, "I was going to miss the flight. I couldn't go home to get my suits or anything. I came here." That's how he got new suits, new shoes. Absolutely. They would have to take him shopping. And when I tell you, every city he went to, every city, he had a closet full of clothes like you can't. I've been at his house. All right. And, that's how he got his.
And did I hear this? Did I hear the reason why he died? Maybe because he was cheap.
Yeah. He took this flight. It was a free flight.
A free flight. Yeah.
That he could take to save money to fly to a place. And I forgot where he was going. For some reason, that thing balled.
But someone gave him a free flight, and unfortunately, John, that plane went down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow, good stories, Joe. Yeah, I should have known you were with these Rocky Marciano. I mean, the great Joe Louis you mentioned was at your house with your parents, right?
Joe Louis was my idol, right? And he went into wrestling. And I was doing wrestling in Erie, Pennsylvania. And there was a guy named Pedro Martinez, who was like the big wrestling guru in Buffalo, Syracuse, and so forth. And the guy made a fortune. He sold Buffalo Arena out just about every week. Joe Louis was going to go wrestle, and I hated wrestling. All right, I hated the phoniness of it, but I had to bring Joe Louis in Erie. The place was packed. All right, and Joe just was getting the hell beat out of him and so forth. And then again, the last minute he won. So prior to his coming there, I said, "Joe, I'd love for you to come over to my house, me, my mother and father." He said, "Absolutely." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Watermelon." All right. So we went to a big watermelon. He came over, and we spent a couple.
That's so cool, though. Your hero.
My hero.
Your hero. Spending time with your mom and dad over your house. Jesus, you had to be a kid. That must have been unbelievable. Sadly, Joe Louis, who great American, fought for our country, and the government went after him for taxes and stuff. This guy fought free fights for the country, making the country a great country. And it's sad that he died in the end. He died broke in the end. And just like Don's saying, he had to wrestle to make money. Back then, it wasn't like these guys today, Jake Paul with these internet superstars, where they want to make money in other sports or whatever it may be, and they make a ton of money. This was it was a sad thing though, but he was your hero. He got to go to your house, and I find one other thing that I really want to talk to you about is.
Let me jump in.
Sure.
I got to tell you one more Joe Louis story.
Sure.
Which no one knows. All right. For some reason, someone put it in the New York paper, but I'm aware of the story. When Joe Louis used to go to Caesar's Palace, all right, all blacks had to go in through the side, including Joe Louis. Joe Louis is going into Caesar's, and Sinatra is performing there, all right? And Sinatra heard that Louis was coming in and had to go through the back door. He went to the head of Caesar's. I think it was Ash Resnick, and I can't swear to this. He said, assuming it was Ash, he said, "Ash, if you don't let him come in the front door, I'm leaving. I will never perform here again." And it was Sinatra that opened up where blacks could walk in the front of Caesar's Palace.
Wow, isn't that great? And Sinatra also did the same thing for Sammy Davis.
Yeah.
Many times he would not go perform at the Sands unless Sammy was treated and they were able to stay at the Sands. Instead of having going downtown, they had their own casino, the Moulin Rouge, which were all the great entertainers. Nat King Cole, all these guys were perform on the Strip, and then they have to go down to the Moulin Rouge to go stay downtown. Absolutely terrible. And Sinatra opened doors for that. And speaking of Sinatra, there's another guy that Don knew, Don knew Frank Sinatra, and tell him the first time. Tell the viewers, listeners, the first time you met Frank Sinatra. You were just a kid, though, right?
No, not quite.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm living in Pittsburgh. By the way, like I said, I'm the youngest promoter ever. I'm living in Pittsburgh, and I get a call from Ash Resnick. He said, Don, Sinatra's coming to Pittsburgh, the Civic Arena. He said, I'm flying out. He said, I got 2 tickets in the front row. He said, right after the show, Sinatra's going to a place called the Wynn Place and Show. It's a place I used to hang out. And there was just a great place. The mob hanged out there, or just anyone. Everyone hung out there. And he said, Sinatra's going there. I get a call the day of the show, and it's from Ash. He said, Don, I can't make it. He said, after the show, go to the Wynn Place and Show. Tell them who you are. Your name's going to be there. But they knew me, all right? Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when Sinatra got on stage, I mean, the standing ovation, he never came back for an encore. When he left the stage, there was a limo waiting for him. He was gone. People would be standing for 10 minutes. He was gone. No.
He was gone already. That's true. I heard that.
Anyway, I was well aware of it. Ash couldn't come. All right. So I went to grab my car, went to the Wynn Place or Show. They let me in. I'm at the bar. I'm not the type of guy that just can walk up to somebody. All right. And just say, hello, I'm Don Elbaum. I'm at the bar and I'm talking to the bartender. All of a sudden, there's a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and it's Sinatra. He said, I don't think we've met. I said, Mr. Sinatra. He says, call me Frank. He said, I said, Mr. Sinatra, my name is Don Elbaum. He said, the boy promoter, all right?
Wow.
Which I was known. And we talked for we just kept talking. And he's a big fight fan. And incredibly, I was telling him about my mother, a concert pianist. I said, boy, my mother plays your music, and so forth. I said, if she would ever get a chance, to see you. And in those days, there was no such thing as cell phones, of course. And there was a phone in the back of the bar. He said, Don, call your mother. So the bartender gave me the phone. I dialed the number, and I said, Mom, you're not going to believe who I'm here with. And he wants to speak to you, Frank Sinatra. They talked for like 20 minutes.
Wow.
And the guy was just fantastic. He gave me his home number and etc. And when he passed away, I mean, I didn't go to his funeral, but I was very good friends with his wife, Barbara, his last wife. And we stayed in contact for some time.
Oh, wow. Anyway, nice.
No, the guy was great.
Oh, no, you got a great history, Don. I'm reading right here, just to give you this is just some of the countries that Don has been in. Sweden, Jamaica, Hungary, Canada, Philippines, Ireland, France, Dominican Republic, Italy, Puerto Rico, and Russia. These are the ones that he just had fights in. And he also, of course, the legendary Blue Horizon in Philadelphia, one of the toughest places. I've been there many times with Don. He ran the fights there. It was just really cool, great stuff. But I want to go back into this thing here, Don. One of the best fighters that you always hear, if you ask people who's the greatest fighter of all time, I'm going to say 7 out of 10 will say Sugar Ray Robinson.
9 out of 10.
Really? 9 out of 10. Well, unbelievably, John and everyone out there, Don actually, the last 3 fights that Sugar Ray Robinson had, am I right to say you actually put them on?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I met Robinson when I was 13 years old at Stillman's Gym in New York, which was the gym of all the world then, all right? And I walked up to him, all right? And I said, excuse me, Mr. Robinson, and my name is Don Elbaum. And I was actually writing for Ring Magazine, covering the fights.
At 13?
At 13.
Unbelievable.
My dad took me to the fights in Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Cleveland, and I used to write the tri-state area. And I went up and I said, Mr. Robinson, my name is Don Elbaum. And I started talking to him about his fighting. He said, how old are you? I said, 13. And he said, and you know this much about me? And we talked. He stopped jumping rope. No one jumped rope like he did. And we talked for a half hour, and he gave me his phone number. And I stayed in contact with him forever. I get a phone call, and it's from Ray. And boy, I got to go back what year it was, but back in the 50s. And that was Robinson. And he said, Don, he said, I want one more crack at the middleweight title. Who do you think I can beat that would earn me that fight? I said, Joey Archer. I said, he can't punch.
Don, yeah, thank you so much for sharing all these stories. We unfortunately are out of time, but we could sit with you for 5-6 hours at a clip.
Oh, I got
no
so much
problem.
more stuff down with him. He's got to come on for the IRA stories.
Yeah, we need him here in Vegas. Can we get him out to Vegas?
Yeah, he's been out to Vegas so many times. So.
Listen, bring me out there.
Okay.
Just put me up there for a year.
All right.
A year.
Done.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Crack.
Cool.
Crack, this was
Yeah,
really this was a fun one. Thank you so much.
Good show, guys.
And next week we've got a great guest. I'm not going to say his name, but we've got Major League Baseball royalty Hall of Famer. And I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week on Wise Kracks.